Have you seen Godzilla Minus One yet? Holy Lord. I mean, by the Lords of Kobol, it is the best movie of the year. It's the best Godzilla movie I've seen in my whole life. And what, 50, more than just over 15 years of seeing, 50 years of seeing Godzilla. I mean, where do I start? First of all, there are long stretches of people that know Godzilla, and I heard one or two people saying that, oh, there's not enough Godzilla, but the characters actually count in this movie. They're actually really the biggest part of the movie, and they're likable. They come together in the face of disaster, starting with the losing World War II. It takes place years before the original Godzilla, and it that took place. That came out in the 50s. So this one here, geez, I mean, I cried at the end. It was so full of emotions. I actually cared about the characters. They actually had some dimension. They had emotions and drive and heart and hope. And there's one or two scenes where at least one character is hopeless and he seems to feel like God doesn't like him. At least that's the impression I got. So these people, I mean, it's like there's some real suspenseful and kind of scary parts. In the first few minutes, it gets off to a pretty good start, and it goes on for a few years throughout the 40s, and showing the progress of some of the characters. And I mean, let me tell you, it's just awesome. There's suspenseful scenes. There's some of the characters that have run-ins with Godzilla. You're like, I don't know how they're going to get out of this one, but I hope they do. You're actually involved. So certain scenes of Godzilla pursuing some people, some of the characters at sea, are kind of suspenseful, even a bit frightening, especially when he comes out, he sticks his eyes out of the water and he's staring right at him with those big, huge eyes. I think each of his eyes is about as big as a human being. I mean, what can I say? And the cinematography is real nice. The CGI is good, and supposedly it only cost 15 million to make. So I read recently that Japanese movies are allotted a certain amount to make movies. And no offense to the Japanese, but that kind of clears things up for some of us. Even when I was little, my cousins and I and friends of mine, we were like, the Japanese make cheap movies. Our movies look bad. But there seems to be a little more emphasis on the look and the special effects and all that with American Godzilla movies. It isn't that they aren't good for what they are, but this one right here, this one, one review on the Internet Movie Database suggested that Hollywood ought to leave Godzilla to the Japanese. I remember when it ended, I not only said twice, what a ride. And I said, boy, the Japanese outdid themselves and they outdid us. And of course, a lot of our movies cost, what, many tens of millions of dollars, and that sure includes the superhero movies. So, I mean, what can I say? What can I say? It tackles themes of guilt and rejection redemption and people getting together in the face of disaster to try to ensure the future of what's left of Japan. There's some camaraderie, there's a tiny bit of humor. It's very dramatic and heart wrenching and just awesome, just amazing. I mean, see this preferably on the big screen. I even saw it on a big old screen with one of the, a screen. It was an event showing. It was a screen, one of the screens with the most bodacious sound, and that brought back memory. I mean, a Godzilla movie. it brought back memories of movies I also saw in a theater with the most killer sound. Jurassic Park. Oh my God. Yeah, Jurassic Park, because of the loud sounds, just scared the pants out of me and some of my friends and coworkers. And even Wild Wild West, there was after I saw it, but I went to see something else that was playing Wild Wild West. I could hear the sounds, the steampunk type of sound effects from. I was out in the lobby and I could hear the giant spider and I could hear the magnetic fields and all this because one of them steps over a magnetic or something. And it kind of goes, but you can hear it in the theater. It's almost as good as in the '70s Universal Studios Sensurround effect. When Midway came out, and me and some of my relatives went to see another movie, I think it was Murder by Death. Even in the lobby, it sounded kind of like an earthquake. With or without Sensurround, I still mean to see that movie, and maybe I believe there was a reimagining. I don't even remember that I might see, but I always remember that had to do with Japan during World War II and all that too. There was a cute Chinese girl that used the word "damn." No big deal. I'm just saying that's what I remember. Uh, but back to okay, that's a whole mostly tangent about the sound. The actors do a really good job. Some of them are famous already, and the main guy, I just felt so bad for him. It's like, what happened to the heroine? And all that sort of thing. So it's like there's tragedy. There is anyway, but in this case, there is, or is there? But boy, this movie, this is one the baddest Godzilla movie ever. I did think that the previews for Godzilla, I think it was 8 or 9 years ago with Bryan Cranston, were kind of smart because it seemed so heart wrenching and people evacuating and all that stuff that happens in those kind of movies. And then when you see the movie, you see whether that has to do directly with Godzilla or some other tragedy that happened to the main characters. And that was really sad. And how they showed monsters being unearthed. And for a while you think, is that Godzilla? Is that Godzilla? And they show real quick glimpses of the monsters in the previews, and they fly. So anyway, I really would like to say more, but I think I pretty much covered it without going on too long and creating one of these 40-minute Godzilla reviews. And I think I'll watch Shin Godzilla and maybe Godzilla versus Biolante. I'm clear that my niece and nephew loved it as kids. They came with me and my sister to see that advanced showing of this movie because I remember it drove Grandma crazy how many times they watched it. And some people say it's really good. Apparently, they thought it was. But this is George.